All right, and that is how we preface today's discussion. It's one about El Nino and the preparedness. As you saw, the idea there was rush against time. And so how are the counties preparing for the same? That has been a big question. And even as they prepare, there are certain things that need to be done that will require money. And so tonight we're also looking at El Nino financing. We are hosting Dr. John Chumo. He's an environmentalist and he's also the County Minister for Environment and Natural Resources. He is with our Mutegi Njau. Sending your questions and comments and views on the same on 22422. That number again, 22422. Mutegi?
Karibu.
Yes,
how are you?
Thank you so much.
There was a whole article about your struggle to get money from the national government. There's an article in the newspaper this morning. You kind of the counties are not getting money for El Nino preparedness from the national government, according to you. What is the issue?
Basically, I would want, first of all, for purposes of record, that it's good for people to know what this El Nino is all about, because yes. I think it is necessary for us to know.
We have had El Nino before.
Yes, yeah. I would say that probably El Nino is a phenomena, is a climate phenomena caused by the warming up of the ocean currents, and especially along the Peruvian coast and areas to do with the equatorial region, and basically coming in through the winds that are actually upwelling along the coast, and basically that actually results into rainfall. And most of the areas that are actually affected are basically areas that have actually contact with the areas along the coast, and the effects of that are actually enormous. And in the past, we have actually seen many people have actually died. For the last few days, we have also seen the same happening in Sierra Leone. We have already seen happening in Los Angeles, and the effects were actually disastrous. Our scientists, and especially from our meteorological stations, are already clearly telling us that in the next, actually this first week, for the next 3 months, we are going to really feel the impact of El Nino. And coming from then it means that we as people of Kenya and the government of Kenya and the county governments and everybody else need to really come in and sit down and say what do we do in terms of preparedness towards it. And this preparedness obviously requires monetary and issues on in kind. And I would say that this being a disaster, and it is something that probably we didn't expect, but the last 1 or 2 months we have been warned by the scientists. And therefore, we really need to come in as county governments, as national governments, and other stakeholders like the development partners to really support it. Our issue is that recently the national government sat and came up with a budget of probably the 15 hotspots along the country, and have a budget of about 15 billion. They say the government through the Ministry of Environment also says that they're probably having about 5 billion that they can be able to dispense on this issue. We sat also as county governments and mapped the whole country, because from the scientists prediction is going to cover from all the way from Mandera to Busia, all the way from Fanga in Kwale to Turkana. And we saw it was actually going beyond 15 billion. It's going to be around 21 billion. And coming from that, the kind of budget that the counties had for disasters, not only for El Nino, is actually so much less. We could an average of about 10 to around 50 million per county, which therefore means if you bring it to close, it will be less. Then we sat down as county governments and said, then because it is a disaster coming in, can we reallocate? Probably with or without disasters, we are going to have road constructions, we are going to have waterworks, we are going to have medical supply, with or without disaster. So we want to see how we can be able to reallocate. And sitting from that point, we are actually getting about 6.6 billion from that reallocation. And
counties are going to raise 6.6 billion
by
themselves.
I mean reallocations.
You move your money from whatever?
From what was actually budgeted for.
To allocate to El
Nino, yes.
6.6 billion.
6.6 billion.
And
but the total figure that we expect for us to use in this phenomena is about 21 billion. So we have a deficit of about 14 point something.
Are we agreed as counties that the figure that is needed? Yes. Because I've seen some people saying it's 15, not 21, not 23. Are we agreeable?
Yeah, what we are
all
saying,
the stakeholders, have you come down to discuss and say this is what we need? Actually,
we are saying for the minimum is actually 15 billion. Yes. Minimum. But if we are actually to cover everything in the whole for 7 counties, it's going to be 21.
You as counties are raising 6.6.
Yes.
And the government is raising how much? The national government.
They are saying that they are 5 billion.
5 billion.
Yes.
That's not enough.
If you look at that, it's not enough.
Because that's come to 11.6.
Yeah, it's not enough.
Not even 15, the minimum.
Not even 15, the minimum.
So where do you expect to get the rest of the money?
And exactly that, Mr. Muteki, we are actually saying that as people of this country, we are friends, we have stakeholders in this who can be able to come in, and we are talking about the development partners. We have seen, for example, in the past, we have probably European Union, we have GIZ from Germany, we have, for example, Danita, we have World Bank coming in at some level, we have European Union, as I said, and also other partners, like, for example, the business people, because this disaster is not, we cannot say, for example, we are prepared to wait for it, but we can be able to say, can we, even as Muteki, how much can you, what can you give us as a person, as an individual?
So who is doing the fundraising local?
What we have actually done is that the national government has come up with the national what you call disaster
management
center,
yes.
Being headed by somebody from the military called Colonel.
Yes.
We are actually saying therefore that as counties we have also, because actually this happens at the counties. We are talking about places like Busia, places like Mandera, Nandi, even you have actually seen Narok. What we have actually said is that let us now have that national center, and then we can be able to have the centers at the 47 counties called the county disaster response centers. And therefore, you find, for example, that somebody wants to assist somebody in Elgeyo Marakwet, doesn't need to actually come all the way to Nairobi. They can be able to support directly the county government of that center at the county level at Elgeyo Marakwet or Busia or Mandera or Wajir or Kwale.
Have you mapped out the hotspots?
Yeah, we have actually mapped out the hotspots. I want to say, for example, that cutting across the country, we have those, I would call them traditional areas that we have actually known for a long time that these are areas that are prone to flooding and also landslides and mudslides. In Kenya, you know, for example, starting in places like Nyando. Nyando areas of Kisumu are basically areas that we are going to expect a lot of flooding. I'm sure you are aware, Muteki, that we have had this...
even without El Nino,
without it's always flooded. And you have even synonymous with that lady who normally says Saidia, Serikali Saidia. And we have also places like Budalangi. We have
dikes,
dikes the area. Yes, and that's actually areas that really experience flooding. We have also areas like the coast areas of Tana River. We have also areas like Mandera, areas of Karisa. You know, because of the loose soil. Whenever that happens, we are going to have a serious flooding. We have also areas like Nairobi, where we are, and this is a very serious issue. You remember even the last about 3 months ago, we had a serious rainfall, and roads were cut off, people were swept. Some of the people living along the riparian areas where they have actually encroached to the rivers are really going to be affected. We have then areas also of landslides or rockfalls or mudslides, areas like Elgeyo Marakwet, areas of Tot area, Embobut area. We are also talking about Cherangani in Trans Nzoia. We have also areas in Nandi, Tindret areas, a place called Kuvasali between Kakamega and Nandi along the escarpment. We have the escarpment of Kericho and Nandi. We have the escarpment also along Kisumu and Nandi. We have also Nyambene Hills in Meru. We have also Muranga. We have in the past seen people being killed. We have also areas Ivet Hills in Ukambani. We have areas like Baringo, where we are going to have also floods. At the same time also rockfalls. Basically those are the areas that we have actually mapped as county governments and also as in conjunction with the Ministry of Environment.
We have named those hotspots.
Yes.
Well and good.
Yeah.
The El Nino is coming in a week or maybe this weekend.
Yes.
What tangible, if I go to those places, what evidence do I have see that something is being done now?
What we, as I've said, that we have started as county governments, for 7 county governments. We have had several meetings and we have agreed that as we are talking now, places like Nairobi, if you go to South Sea, if you go to some along Nairobi River, there are trenches are being dug. Yeah. The people are opening up trenches and ensuring that people living along very dangerous places are warned so that they can be able to move in a good time. We are also having places like you have seen Narok, where we experienced serious flooding last time. They are already now, county government with other stakeholders are also coming in to ensure that at least trenches and culverts and all that are opened. We have as we are talking today, even in Eldoret, I know trenches are being done in Mombasa, the same, Nandi, the same, and all other places. So at least with that committee in place in every county and in conjunction with the county governments and other stakeholders, they are actually doing something to ensure that something moves in.
You have talked about money which is not enough.
Yes.
Is anybody seriously fundraising? I know Kenya Red Cross. They are set.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether you work in conjunction with them, but who is raising this money? Do you have a committee for fundraising or in
counties?
In your county?
Yeah, what we are saying is that coming from the discussion that I've said that every county now have got a steering committee, and by tomorrow we are going to give you the what I would call the telephone lines that anybody can be able to get into. But already there is something going on.
There are a lot of people who want to volunteer.
Yeah.
Well, how do they get the process of volunteering to work during that time?
Yeah, we have already, like now in every county, like for example, a county has got other stakeholders, like for example the Red Cross, maybe what you call St. John's ambulances. We have even other NGOs who are ready to give out something. At the county level, we have that secretariat. We have even identified officers and also identified, a point where they can be able to supply those goods, whatever, either in cash or in kind. But we even encourage so much issues to do it in kind, like for example, tents, food materials, like because we are going to expect people to be evicted from some of the places that are actually dangerously.
Different counties have different needs.
Yes.
They cannot be equalized.
Yes.
So if the national government has disbursed the money,
yeah,
what is the formula for disbursing?
Now
they say they have that amount of money you have given me, about 5 billion, which is not enough. In the process of what's the process of disbursing that money to various counties?
We expect the national government and especially the ministry that is concerned and treasury to ensure that they can come up with at least a formula in terms of ensuring.
But is it getting late?
Yeah, that's actually our concern as county governments. We have been concerned on the same because we are telling them time is not on our side, and they should be able to look at the areas that have been mapped, especially the hotspots. They would even say they were talking about 15 counties. They should even be able to now say in these 15 counties how, in terms of severity of the expected effects, how much are they going to give, and that's actually what we expect them to do.
maybe the government, like many Kenyans, are very suspicious about the use of the money by counties. We know very well the counties have been abusing or misusing money. When it comes to emergencies, in fact, there's opening up for corruption, opening up for misuse of money, because there is no tendering. There is no way of even accountability.
I want to say that, Mr. Mutege, that with respect to the issues of corruption, to the issues of all these things, some of these things that we are actually getting in the public domains, some of these things are so much exaggerated. But I want to say that I'm not...
you cannot say it's exaggerated. We bought a wheelbarrow for 100,000 shillings.
I'm not going to all brief for anybody, but I want to say that for sure, if you look at generally, it is not only counties that's kind of a problem, and also the national government and other agencies having the same. But that doesn't mean that I support corruption, or that doesn't mean that the county governments condone corruption. What we are saying, it could have been one or two or whatever counties that have got such kind of...
The fear is this, the fear is this, that there is expectant El Nino. You get the money, you give it to a county, like the county of Nandi, they give the money to you. El Nino comes, and 1/3 of the money is used to fight, and people die, and things happen, and it doesn't matter. The money remains in your pocket.
What we're actually saying, that is already what I would say a perceived, or the mistrust that probably is there between government agencies and probably the public. But then I would say that given the steering committees that we have actually said that those committees being formed, and it is actually under the watch of the general public, because this is going to be a public issue. People are going to, whatever it is being given out will be able to be accounted for in terms of ensuring that public participation is informed, because we have everybody coming in. We have the NGOs, we have the agents like Red Cross, we have the women, Maendeleo Wanawake, for example, we have the government, both national and the county at the level, like for example county commissioners and the county government. So this is not actually county government per se, but we are saying it is a committee, but under the premise of a county. So the issue of public participation will ensure that the issues of fears of wananchi on issues of corruption will not be tolerated.
The government has said they have set aside a number of National Youth Service personnel to be deployed during El Nino. What is the extent of manpower preparedness in the counties that in terms of human beings, in terms of equipment, like maybe choppers to lift people, trucks to move food, stuff like that? We
have raised our concern as county governments. We have raised concern as ministers in charge of environment and natural resources, because we really feel the pinch of El Nino because of our experiences in the past and even the historical aspects elsewhere. What we are actually saying is that the national government, under the Ministry of Devolution, we requested them that they deploy the NYS. And so far, other than those counties that at NYS comes, there are other counties that don't have. But we have been promised by the Devolution Ministry that they are going to share. And we have just told them that they should actually be able to share equally, in terms of, because equally in the sense that all the 47 counties should have the personnel. And we have also told them that in areas where, for example, we are going to have floods, areas we are going to have probably landslides and all that, we expect the Ministry of Devolution to consolidate efforts of Kenya Forest Service, for example, KWS, even the military choppers, for purposes of saving lives in case that time comes. But they are already saying that they are ready. But what we are saying in the counties, we want to see that being felt at the county levels.
Abbas Guled was here a few days ago talking about the same subject, and it looks like in terms of equipment they are ready. In fact, he told me that they have boats to save people in Nairobi in case of flooding in the city. Remember, there was a bus which was marooned somewhere.
Marooned and
somebody, the people were marooned there for hours.
Imagine.
Without nobody being able to get there. Are the counties ready with this kind of ability without the kind of
what we are saying, Mr. Mutegi, is that every county across every county across Kenya has got at least what we call the Red Cross offices. Like I would give you an example. In North Rift, we have the offices of Red Cross in Eldoret, and it is actually serving the North Rift counties like Western Gishu, Elgeyo Marakwet, Trans Nzoia, all the way to probably West Pokot and Nandi on this other side. And then I think also they have an office in Nakuru serving the Central Rift. So, and elsewhere in the coast and even in the eastern side of this country. We are actually seeing that in that committee that we are formed. You remember I've said that we have the County Disaster Response Center. One of the major stakeholders is the Red Cross. So in case they are as we coordinate, they would be able to serve the interests of the Red Cross. And the issues to what my friend Abbas Kulet was talking about is actually in order.
Say for instance, in your own county of Nandi,
yes.
What equipment do you have in preparation for El Nino? What equipment, apart from government, your own local equipment, money, your own?
As I said, that we've like our budget for the disasters, for example, is actually 15 million. Yeah. We are also saying that...
You're saying 15 million is not enough?
It's not even enough. And even that money is, as we are talking today, has not even... We still have a problem with the disbursement of the same from the National Treasury. You remember what I said in... what was captured in the newspaper, that we are actually asking even the government to fast track, because there's a lot of slow movement of funds from the Treasury to the counties.
I'm asking about not money, but equipment and personnel.
So this is why I'm saying that coming in from, in this case, we have the personnel in the sense that we have first of all, we have the personnel because the few people that we have in terms of coming from LT department. We have a disaster preparedness unit. We are also seeing that at the county level, we have such equipment as ambulances. We have the vehicles that can be able to open the roads from the county. And we are also seeing that we also have a few also tents that can also be used temporarily. But all it's said and done, Muteki, is that that's why I'm appealing to the people and people who are interested in assisting, the people of goodwill in assisting the counties, and included, that because the little that we have, we still need more.
Is anybody, you talked about funding from our partners in development, like you named several Europeans, Americans, World Bank. Do you have the ability, that the countries have the ability to approach them, or you wait until they're approached by the government, the national government?
From the...
or they can volunteer to come and say, we want to assist Takarisa, or we want to assist...
And this is exactly what I'm trying to say, that in the past, what has been happening before the current dispensation, before the coming in of the county governments, what used to happen is that these development partners used to come directly to through the national government before the dispensation. But at the moment, the same organizations, like for example, I said, like for example EU and the rest, are actually, despite the fact that they also require clearance from the national government, they can still come in directly to assist the counties.
Maybe the other issue that we may need to think about is accountability, and I mentioned it earlier.
Yes.
If the money is not used, what happens?
Now it is very clear. What normally happens when I'm taking is that given that this country is a country governed by law, is a country with the legislations put in place, as we have, we all know. What we only need to do is that every secretariat, every county having that steering committee would probably have, as I've said, that they would be able to have a serious, they have an account. And I've said the composition of those people that come into that steering committee are basically people cutting across both the government and the general public. What we are saying is that if, for example, El Nino passes, even for example, assuming El Nino doesn't come, that doesn't mean that is the end of, we won't have any disaster. We are going to say that the same, because that committee is going to stay. This is not only for El Nino, it's a permanent committee that is going to be looking at issues to do with disasters at the county level. Like was it the day before yesterday? I think yesterday there was a banning of Ripla in Eldoret. That's a disaster. And I'm sure if we would be having such a kind of kitty being managed well, with a lot of accountability and transparency, I'm sure that kind of resources would be used to fight fire.
Some Wananchi here from Kisi is not very satisfied with your explanations. He says, please tell the minister no that counties are the most corrupt and they are making Wananchi suffer. And another one is asking, Ondudo from Kisumu, is asking, do you know that El Nino may be accompanied by a fly? All the medical aspect of it.
Yeah. First of all, I want to start with the one they are talking about, the issue of corruption. I want to say that, as I've said before, issues to do with corruption, I think it is unique to a given county or a given whatever. But I want to say that we want to this is a lot. There's a lot of allegations, and I would say, for example, that counties like the national government and any other agencies governed by law. There are agencies that are actually supposed to really monitor and look at ways of ensuring that there is no corruption. And when you have that blanket condemnation of that counties are corrupt, then we lose direction and we lose the gist of what we are discussing here. But issues coming with disasters is an issue that we don't expect, but we need to plan. A failure to plan is failure to plan is actually planning to fail. So what we are saying is, with or without El Nino coming in, that kitty will still be there. It will still be used for some other things. And I want to call Wananchi and all other oversight authorities that when these kind of resources are actually mobilized, they are not individuals, they are not for counties, they are not for everybody, for national government. It is actually for the people of Kenya. And I'm sure at that level they can be able to do a serious oversight. We have the current Wananchi through public participations. They would even say, this is I expect those steering committees from the 7 counties should be able to say how much have they received, how much money have they received, how much foodstuffs have they received, how much non-food materials have they received. And that would be able, at the end of the 3 months, you'd be able to say, this is what we have, this is what we have used, this is what is remaining, this is what didn't remain, and those kind of things. So I think, to me, let us have a lot of hope. If we start, bashing everybody that there's a lot of corruption, we are not going to accept. Indeed, as I said, I don't want to all brief for anybody. But then the thing is, as people of Kenya, as people that we are looking at issues positively, let us actually have, whenever there's an issue that is unique and particular to a given county or a given person or an individual, let us actually pursue it to the letter. But let us not have a condemnation that county governments are actually corrupt. The issue of medical related problems, as I've said, effects of El Nino are going to be enormous. One of it is actually, I've talked about the mudslides, landslides, flooding. One of it is actually the issue of diseases. And not we are going to experience things to do with water-related ailments, cholera. We are going to have issues to do with typhoid. We are going to have issues to do with what you call Nairobi fly and the rest. And as I've said, once we have this, like in a given county, obviously, with or without El Nino, they are planned to buy medical supplies. And actually, at the moment, they are going to use the same money or the same resources to ensure that issues dealing with health-related matters will be sorted out. Because now, even as we are talking, we are actually asking the counties now that they should be able to have enough supplies from KEMSA, so that they can be able to have enough medical during this time, or during the 3 months that you expect a lot of issues to do with El Nino or any disaster. We have what you call preparedness. We have what we call the process of during the time of El Nino, and then what we call the response, and then we have recovery. And then after recovery, we go to mitigation. It is now during the process of response is when, for example, people will be moved from one place to the other. They will be salvaged and those kind of things. And also at the same time, we are also going to have people suffering from diseases around there. They will be given medical services. After that, again, during the recovery, we are going to have roads will have been destroyed. There will be also now effects of diseases like what we are talking about, the issues of diarrhea and cholera and all those kind of things. We need to have a lot of medical supplies, and these medical supplies will be obviously supplied through the ministry. The different departments in the county governments, because health is devolved. And also at the same time, that's actually why we are also asking other people like UNICEF and other good friends of this country to also chip in at that time.
Some of bad impact, the negative impact of El Nino.
Yes.
Some of them we have mentioned are caused by environmental degradation.
Yes.
Like for instance, a place where there are forests.
Yes.
A normal place which would be normal, which will be no landslide, but because of sand harvesting or stone harvesting for buildings, tree cutting. What are countries doing to conserve environment? Maybe this group of yours, where you are chairman,
yes,
that you make sure that environment is conserved.
Thank you so much.
We know MCAs,
yeah,
or like the former councillors.
Yeah.
Their business was just to grab. Any opportunity to grab natural resources, they are there, regardless of the consequences. What are you doing to conserve the environment?
Thank you.
Without considering El Nino?
El Nino, in a normal setup.
In a normal setup, yes.
I want to say that, thank you so much. I want to say that where we have come from the past, where, for example, you are talking about the before the current dispensation. You know that this country...
There is not much difference between MCAs and councillors.
I just wanted to start, the only difference is that the kind of structure that is there now.
Yeah.
In the past, councillors were both they were both executive. They were playing the role of executive and legislation. But at the moment, we have the legislation arm of the government. That's actually the county assemblies, and then we have also the executive arm, where, for example, I sit in now as the minister and the governor, and that's actually another technical team. Now, what I'm trying to say is that at the moment, the MCAs are supposed to do oversight. They are actually, in this case, they are supposed to say this is wrong, this is right, and those kind of things. But let us say this. In the past, there was no public participation. Like what used to happen is that, you remember, we have come from a point where the president or the minister or the commissioner of lands would, for example, say, I've hived out this kind of forest. Yeah. I've given out this wetland. Yeah. But I want to say that with the new kind of dispensation, we are, in fact, like now, we are even recovering what has actually been lost. I want to give you an example, and in particular in Nandi County, that, for example, that several wetlands have been cracked. Wetlands, and you know, wetlands are actually very fragile ecosystems that actually houses a lot of wildlife, and also plays a major role of taking care of water. We have actually recovered several of them, and what we are now doing is that I've also seen in Wasingishu, I've also seen in Mombasa, I've also seen even some parts in Siolo. We have also seen some parts of Baringo. We have seen some parts of Machakos, where lands have been recovered because the craft land that had been actually taken by other people. Coming to the issue of environmental conservation, the current dispensation now has given us power to come up with legislations to take care of, for example, forestry, issues to do with water, and things to do with wildlife. And we are already saying that we are putting up our legislations that are actually going to take care of. We already, every county is already at the advanced level, and ensuring that they have a budget. You know, in the past, Wanamuteki, the budget of environment, for example, in a given municipal council used to be, for example, 200,000 shillings or 100,000 shillings, and they call it environment. But at the moment, like for example in Nandi County, we have a budget of, for example, maybe about even 50 million that we can now say, okay, what do we do with it? We do afforestation in some of the deforested areas, and we have done that. Other counties have also done the same. We are also recovering the wetlands and also ensuring that the same wetlands are brought into the natural state that they are actually expected to be. We are also seeing that the problem that we still have is the national government with the legislations. Because what they want, you know, some things were devolved. Others were never devolved. I want to give you an example. Forestry. You have, I'm sure you have been reading that there is a lot of illegal logging. There is a lot of serious encroachment of those forests. Now, it is not casseted forests, for example, were never devolved, and it is being managed by KFS, which is like a national government. Now, at the level of the county, whenever there is illegal logging, where do the wananchi run to? They run to the county. They say the governor, they say the minister, and that kind of a thing. But then now, the people are managing from Nairobi. And that's why we are actually saying that some of these things should be devolved and proper governance being met. That's why we are actually talking about the issues of the current bill, what you call Forest and Management Bill, that is in the National Assembly, that we want a lot of mandate also given to the counties to ensure that, you know, people of Kiambu know their forest well, and they know the importance of that forest. Somebody in Nyeri also know the importance of their forest, in Kwale and all other places. In Nandi, for example, our people know since time immemorial, this was a place where they used to go even and pray and do their, you know, cultural activities. They would be able to take care of it. But as we are doing today, because this thing is still being managed at the national level, we have issues, and I think those issues can be discussed in another forum or another day. But I want to tell you that if you go across the counties, my friend, there are a lot of activities, there are a lot of interventions by the county governments to ensure that environmental conservation is put in place. Unlike before, forest cover, that was that used to be, you know what you're talking about, forest cover, we are at 7%, I mean 2%. We are now talking about how many percent? Around 7%. What we really need to encourage the people of this country, and especially counties, to ensure that we increase our forest cover. Like I think I started with around 18, and if today is measured, it must be I'm approaching 20. So if all of us can be able to do that, forest cover, issues to do with climate change, issues to do with forest calamities that, I mean environmental calamities that can easily result, will be sorted out.
Thank you very much, Bonachuma.
Thank you.
With those remarks, we end on a positive note that we are conserving our environment.